Hello. Hello, we're
We're back.
back again. So, if you don't know who we are, we're Truth Runs Deep Podcast, and we talk about all things Law and Order, SVU, fanfic, writing, and more. And today we are back on talking about SVU, which is, we were very excited. I don't know if we could say the word is excited about, but we've been waiting on
Excited?
it. Question mark?
On the edge of our seats?
It was a
Yeah.
long wait. We were like,
Long
that
awaited.
week. It was like
Yeah.
last week was so slow getting to the time. I was like, oh my god, dang. No, it's tomorrow's literally Thursday again. And we are ready to talk about accomplice liability. It is not much background, too much yapping. We're gonna hop in.
Oh boy.
So it is the sequel. I guess it's not really a sequel. It's the
second part to Cornered.
it's a Cornered, which was the fall finale. If you have not seen Cornered, you should go see Cornered before you watch this one. Before you watch this one, you need to watch Cornered. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
No, literally.
You need the context.
If you have not watched it, pause this, go watch it, and then come back.
And then come back.
Yeah. Okay.
It won't make sense if you don't watch it, okay? So if you jumped randomly into this one, oh boy, sorry.
So,
but obviously if you watch Cornered, we're not gonna recap it for you, but the show does a quick recap for you if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, basically show you the
a quick recap real quick of
everything stopped.
Give you a real good quick recap of Cornered. Yeah. So have fun with that. But in case you forgot, which I don't think what happened. Oh sorry. I was playing my Switch. To be completely honest, I was playing it.
If I remember correctly, they I think they showed Tracy going into the
they use they use a couple clips of the top bits of the episode. They
and then showing Tess in the freezer and
all the things they bring up in
and then Sunny holding the gun at the end and being like telling Deontay to freaking
get on your knees.
Get on his feet. Yeah. Yep. Okay,
so jump in way. So if you have, you're back. If you're back, if you're not, then I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so we start with Gracie and Amanda, and they're in this office we find out it's Brooklyn.
They're in the Brooklyn DA's office this time.
They're going to talk to the woman who is taking the case because he can't, although he desperately wants to.
Oh, he definitely wants to. You had to find out.
He definitely wants to.
So he says he's like, "Is this my wife, Amanda Rollins?"
Yes, we find out the lawyer's name is Camille Rourke. So there's that, and they're like, nice. Yeah, they're introducing himself. And he's like, "This is my wife, Amanda Rollins." I was like, also, the fact that kind of answers the question of, does she still have her last name? Yes. So I kind of think that until it's official, that we're gonna go with Rollins Carisi family.
Yeah.
Until we're told otherwise, because that's kind of seems what it is. But also the fact that he's fully introducing her as his wife.
This is my wife.
This is my wife.
Yay. I had to bring her for my own welfare.
Yeah, literally for my well-being, so I don't lose it.
Anyway, so he's kind of talking about the case. He's kind of starting, he's Carisi yapping, he's really talking. And she's like, the lawyer's like,
oh yeah, and the murder for the job.
Yeah, she's kind of like, he's talking about the legal stuff. He's like, you got this charge and this charge, and then she was like,
Ali. How do I say that? Ali.
I'm gonna say Imran.
Ali Imran. That's his name.
Yeah, exactly. Because originally, I don't think they wanted to charge him with this, but I don't think she wanted to charge him with that initially. And he's like, Carisi's like, no, this is the person who was involved in this, and this is his name. He should get justice.
And literally, then Carisi he has his briefcase, and he literally pulls out a pile of things and gives it to her.
He's like, here you go.
The entire case for her.
And she's like,
wants to do this so bad.
Exactly. She's like, I guess she doesn't know him, so she's like, what is he doing?
And then they need to talk. Then he's like, oh, we also got to talk about the other girls, Elizabeth and Tess Melbourne. And then she's like, yeah, the ADA doesn't want to charge him with that. And then you see Amanda and Sunny both go.
They're not happy about hearing that was going to happen.
Somebody I forget, the picture was like so funny, but somebody like they're both staring at her like
seriously.
Somebody said it was like if they got called into a teacher's conference.
Yeah, I did. They're very like seriously.
Yeah. And everyone was like, yeah, well, actually they didn't specifically say Billy, but everyone's like, we know what child it would be for.
So the Creasy's the lawyer's still talking.
Yeah.
And also talking about like,
oh, it would be 15 years and a few more for the armed robbery.
Yeah, but that's all I can really do. That's not enough. That's not enough. Oh.
And then he just leaves.
Yeah.
The Amanda's like,
see.
Thanks. So
we gotta go.
No, I think Amanda's like, yeah, you gotta think about this.
You should. For everyone's well-being, I think you should think about that again.
They go to talk so then they have who talk? I forget who talked to them.
I think Carisi wanted to. I told him he couldn't.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what the line was. There's something about like I think they go to the precinct, I think. Amanda and Sunny go to the precinct, and Olivia's like, I'm gonna do it because you should not be doing that.
Yeah, I think Amanda and I think Olivia go to talk to Elizabeth.
Sunny, you can't go.
Yeah. Her last name is her last name is Alden. Literally because like they're witnesses, they can't talk to each other, but also no. For your own well-being. No.
You should not.
So we find out that Elizabeth Alden is a preschool teacher. She's kind of hanging.
She says.
But it's definitely changed by that day. Unfortunately, Tess and Elizabeth don't talk anymore. And Tess has run away.
Yeah, she's like, I don't know where Tess is, and they're like,
yeah. So then they Camille has Deontay.
She's meeting with and Deontay's lawyer.
And they're talking. And he goes on
like,
be like, Mr. Crazy.
She's kind of sassy. She's pretty sassy about this one.
It would be
surprised the lawyer lied to you in a hostage situation.
Self-defense if I did it. And she's like, you're surprised the lawyer lied to you during a hostage situation? Like
seriously, for real. She's a little sassy, like seriously.
She offers a deal. The guy's like, no. She's like, this one is generous, but okay.
This is a real generous deal. It's 15 years, but he's not taking it.
We then get some intel that unfortunately Tess may be self-medicating.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I forgot to say trigger warning to drug abuse. Abuse. Sorry about that. My bad. But if you anyway, I'm saying it right now.
Literally ruined her life.
Yeah. It ruined her life. So
they
doing illicit substance.
Yeah, they find her with her boyfriend.
Yeah, he's not a boyfriend, okay? Don't even call. He doesn't deserve to even call it that. They're in a druggy house. Literally, she's in a druggy house. Like
she's unfortunately
no one cares about her.
Overdosing.
Yeah,
and so they have to take her to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So they go to the hospital. Creasy had called Amanda, and Olivia goes, "That's your husband calling about Tess."
Exactly, because he's very deeply emotionally involved in this.
Amanda goes, he's going to be worried about these girls until they're married with children.
It's like, we've talked about this before in very in deep depth that like Carisi has really bad anxiety, and like even though it's not like spoken outright, you can very clearly tell Carisi has really bad anxiety, and like it's gonna be something he really is gonna still be thinking about, especially when we get to the end, we'll talk about it a little more.
Yeah, like in his eyes, he did not think he
did
enough for these girls. So now he's going to make sure that he does.
Yeah, that's what he's trying to do.
So Olivia and Amanda go to talk to Tess, and
she doesn't want her parents to know.
Yeah, she's like, what are you guys doing here? And she's like, Olivia's like, yeah, I don't. Hi, we were there the day of the deli.
Yeah,
We're outside.
there.
Yeah, and they're like, is there anyone we could call for your parents or something?
She's and like, don't talk to them.
She's like, no, I don't want them to see me like this. But she does not feel safe.
Yeah.
So the squad is talking, and they're like, we need somebody to stay with her.
Yeah, to make sure she's safe, because this guy she's with is looking suspicious.
Yeah. And Velasco offers to do so.
Yeah.
And then he goes, and I was hoping somebody was going to mention this, and they did.
Yeah.
Captain, I was there at the deli. I'll never forget that scream.
Yeah, if you don't know, there's a scene where Tess is let out. Tess is let out, and she stands there, and she doesn't want to be touched, and she screams
like a blood curdling. You're never gonna forget that scream.
Yeah, it's a very loud and very like blood curdling scream she lets out in the.
Yeah, that was also part of the recap. So
yes, because it's a very annoying.
Yeah, like it was. We then go to Carisi's office, and you mentioned this.
Yeah, because he's still talking. Yeah.
I didn't see the Christmas photos.
I'll have to look at it. I don't think anybody talked about it, but I noticed it on his desk. There's some little like photos on his desk, and they look very Christmassy. So I'm assuming they're the children, but it's hard to tell what they are. But I'm assuming they're the kids. But he finds out that the defense wants to exclude his testimony. And you're like,
oh dear God, no!
Literally, we're trying this again. Like seriously, like,
we're doing this? No.
Like seriously.
They're like, no. So they go to challenge that, and
that was like what is he?
He was the victim here.
Exactly, he was the victim. Even though he's not gonna say it himself yet. Carisi has not said himself that he's a victim. This is his big problem.
The judge is smart and is like, you're right. The testimony will stay.
Yes, so, good. I like good.
Like at that point, I was like, "Oh my God, are we getting this episode and we don't even get to see him testify?"
That wouldn't make no kind of sense. Or like, listen, we knew he would because there were pictures of it, but like the thought that
that was in the back of my head.
They wanted his testimony excluded.
Yeah. So then they go back to the hospital.
Carisi pretty much could sum up the whole story. That's what they were like. The defense was like, if he testifies, we're done.
We're screwed. That's literally He goes to
wrap it up.
And then he says, yes.
So they switch back.
Go back to the
guy
hospital.
Walks in.
Amanda, Olivia, Carisi are there. The guy walks in. He's like, "Hey, I'm looking for my girlfriend," and they're like, "Then go take care of that."
Okay.
And then unfortunately, alarms and sounds start going off in Tess's room. She is having a seizure and cardiac arrest, and the three are watching from the doorway.
They're like blinds. They're watching through the blinds,
and they
do a shot of. They show a shot from like the camera's inside the room, so the shot's looking out into like Olivia and Amanda and
they center on Carisi's face.
Yes,
and that look is fucking heartbreaking.
It is.
Like he once again thinks he's failed.
I'm powerless to help her once again. You know.
Thankfully,
she's okay.
Says she can get better.
Yeah, it's gonna be okay.
And then Chris is like, "Okay, good, because I'm not gonna go." And he goes to talk. He finds Camille at a restaurant, and he's like, "Oh, can we talk?" And she's like, "Chrissy, I'm eating."
Exactly. Like I told you can't be involved. Like what did I say?
He does it. He's just like, okay, I'll be a minute.
They showed this as a clip earlier. They showed like 3 clips during the day, and this was one of them.
And then he sits and he's like, Tess had a close call, but she should be okay to testify. Yeah. And then she's like, again, the ADA says that's
we're not charging him with this.
our weakest case. There, and then Sunny goes, well, let's see how a jury feels when I hear how I watched Deontay Mosley casually eat a bag of chips while Tess was raped a few feet away.
That's really because like, you get some more details about what happened
later,
like,
and it's
because of course in a show. Because in a show, you only have 42 minutes to tell the story, and like for them, it's not been 42 minutes because the way SVU is filmed, obviously like days and hours pass, but they condense it so you don't. They've been in there all day, It wasn't the being in the deli was like an all day thing because it's like the morning and then it's like the evening when they leave.
Yeah,
so, like, they've been there all day.
So there is that, and he's like, okay, fine, I will. And then he's like, okay, but one more thing, you're Vardar. And she's like, okay, fine. What are you gonna say about this? She's like, when you're polling the jury, make sure you ask if any of the female jurors have any experience with sexual assault. Yeah. Like he is full on like, nope, this is the important. This is
what it is.
And then it's like, your bond seems to think you might have a personal vendetta against this kid. And it's like, maybe I do.
So then Carisi brings up another point of Deontay had to bring the guns because he had to be like, well, Boyd got out of prison that morning. He had no time to go buy a gun.
Yeah, she's like, what do you mean? She's like, Boyd literally got out of prison the day before. Had no
it wasn't even the day before. It was the morning of.
Literally the morning of. Did not have time to go buy guns. So Deontay must have gotten them. Meaning, anything that happened in that deli because of the guns is on him.
Exactly. He's like, put it on him. And then she's like, listen, if you have any personal respect for me as a prosecutor, then you'll stay away from the courthouse until I need you for prep. Because Carisi's still going about it.
Yeah, she's like,
you can't let me do my job. So then the guy, Tessa's boyfriend, imposter air quotes because this is not a boyfriend, he had armed robbery charges, and of course, the illicit substance druggie house, and obviously was selling the illicit substances. Apparently committed armed robbery, and that the charges dismissed because the couple did not want to testify. Correct, you are making a valid point.
I had to get that. We'll get to that.
Yes.
Because saying that again just like made me remember.
Yeah.
Ooh. What was I gonna say? Yes. So the guy had armed robbery charges. The couple didn't want to testify, so it was dropped. Meaning like she's kind of like attached to somebody who also did an armed robbery, and I don't think she knew that.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, like,
yeah.
And
they're talking about because
Deontay.
Yeah, about how like Deontay chose not to do anything until it
suited him, not the rest of them. And Olivia goes, if the three of you stick together like you did that day at the deli, maybe all three of you can take your power back.
Yeah.
So then we get Olivia prepping.
Yeah.
And she's talking about her day, like her POV of the day.
Yeah.
And she says when she saw
about when they walked up to the door. She's initially talking about when because she goes to look for. If you don't know, like Carisi went to go. He would have been in the deli to get his coffee and his bagel. He went back to the deli to go get flowers for his paralegal because it was her birthday. But then Olivia's like, I gotta go find him. He's been gone a little too long. He just went around the corner, and then he's at the door, and they lock eyes, and she's like,
she goes,
he's making a face she'd never seen.
I saw a look on his face I'd never seen before.
And she's like, what is that? Camille's like, what is that?
Yeah.
Jen, you're like, oh,
yeah, great. So then we get Amanda's prep,
which is a clip they also showed us this morning with that morning of, and you're like, oh, you know, if you bring it into tears, you might have tears.
Camila's like there was like shots heard on the monitor, and she's like,
because Olivia, because I was if you don't know, look, Amanda has her phone and the radio at the same time. She's talking to Olivia on the phone, and like the police radio, and basically like to both of them to her head, listening to both of what's going on.
And she's like, okay, what was going through your head when you heard the shots? And you could see that, like,
she starts to tear up, and I was like, oh my god.
Literally, Kelly starts crying. Like, literally, Kelly starts crying, and we all start crying and tearing up because, like, the lighting in that lighting in the scene was really good too. You could specifically see her eyes.
They wanted you to see it. Like, they wanted you to see her like teary-eyed. I thought my husband had been killed.
And you see her like her hand over her mouth, like trying to go off to the side, like trying to like not show that she's crying, but yeah.
I thought my
husband wasn't sure if I was going to see my husband again, and I'm not sure
like
I have yet.
We'll hold on. We'll break this line down in a second. But like the thought that like Chris is not just her husband; he's like the father to her children. You know, that's the person they love and adore.
Like, what am I supposed to do if I have to go home and tell the girls that and
they don't have their dad?
Yeah, the dad's not coming home. Like,
exactly.
Yeah. So she goes, I wasn't sure if I was going to see my husband again, and I'm not sure if I have yet. A part of her is still trapped in that deli, which unfortunately is true.
This is true.
And he won't be free. And she goes, and he won't be free until you win this case.
Yeah.
Like literally staring at this woman. She's like,
you need to win this case.
I'm gonna try my best.
Like, no, before that, basically, you don't need to try. You need to do it.
Yeah. Before that, when Amanda started crying, she's like, "Oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
You need a break.
She's like, yeah, and she's like, okay, I'll try my best. And Amanda goes, so will I, out on the stand. And she starts to collect her stuff and starts to leave. And she turns around and goes, I need to be strong for him. They love each other.
Yeah, that was that whole sequence of clips we watched earlier in the day. I think you were at work, so I don't know if you watched it right when I watched it. We were like,
So then we get Tracy prepping, and he's literally just like, why am I here? His arms are crossed. He's like, this is
exactly. He doesn't think he needs to do it.
And so Rourke pretty much practices being
a defense
attorney. And she is worried about the race card. Yeah. And Sonny's like, that's not gonna be an issue. And she's like, yeah,
it could be.
It could be.
It could be, which is ironically, we had pre-written some of this stuff already before the episode came out. So I, as a defense attorney, I did playing writing the defense attorney. I did think about that, and I said, that was like the main argument I thought about months ago. Was like,
yeah, I'm shocked. I'm shocked that Creasy didn't think of that, and nobody thought of that. Like,
we thought about it. We were like, it's gonna be the race card. They're gonna say because he's black. And the system, while it is true that the system is terrible on black men, particularly, Deontay made a bad choice. He did something bad who deserves to be punished for it, all right? This is his second offense. This isn't even his first time being in jail. Like, you should have learned the first time. He's lost basically, he was like 17 when he went to jail or something like that. And they're like, you lost 5 years of your life or so committing a robbery, and then you commit another one?
Yeah, literally.
I was gonna say also something I noticed about Deontay is they fixed his glasses. Because if you watch the first episode, the first time his glasses are taped together and now they are fixed. I don't know if you noticed that. Because I watched the episode like 10 times. So his glasses are taped together in the first.
Glasses look so different, but I couldn't figure out why.
They fixed his glasses because he had them taped together. So. Anyway.
Yes. Then we transition to late that night, and Tracy's sitting in the courtroom gallery all by himself.
Yeah,
and Olivia walks in and she goes, "Oh, there you are." And they're talking. And she's like, "We need to win this case for Tess and Ali. And for you."
And for you.
And he looks at her. And she's like,
seriously.
I don't know. I know you don't like to hear this, but you are a victim too.
Exactly. He doesn't respond once again.
Because
when anybody says that to him, he doesn't say anything. So it's like, have you truly processed this yourself? Like, yeah. He has not clearly intaken the thought that like he is a victim. He's overshadowed that thought more of, I did not do that. I tried my, well, he didn't even think he tried his best. He was like, thought I could say these people and I couldn't. It's more, he has more guilt and shame than thinking about, that he was a victim about the situation. So then they go
back to the hospital.
They talked to Elizabeth. Well, Elizabeth said Tess stole her laptop, and that's why she was using the laptop money to buy, the illicit substance, and that's why.
And she offered to let her stay with her and give her a phone.
But she stole her laptop and left, and she was like, "That's why we aren't friends anymore." I guess they asked her why they weren't friends anymore, and she said, "Yeah, she stole my laptop."
Okay, so at least because I thought it was literally just because we can't talk anymore because we're both traumatized by this.
Yeah, she stole her laptop to buy illicit substances.
So there's that, and Tess is trying to figure out how to make up for it, and Olivia's like, "You already have by testifying. That'll help." So then we have opening arguments.
Yeah.
And I forget what they were. The part that I remember is that Vaughn pretty much was going on about a vengeful ADA, and I was like, "Shut up."
That's the person. Exactly. He says, the first time he says vengeful, he brings up Carisi multiple times in this. The second time he says him by name. The first time he's like this vengeful ADA, and then he says something about the fact that what did he say? I can't remember. I was gonna pre-watch the episode again, but I forgot to watch it again before we recorded because I was gonna get more lines. So I can remember.
Vengeance should not overrule the rules of the law.
Yeah, basically he's putting it on Carisi. He's trying to put it on Carisi about the only reason why we're going to trial is just because is that he's been being vengeful about he thinks Deontay should be in jail for this, but you know how defense attorneys are trying to prove that you're innocent.
And then what was I gonna say? The crew did a cool thing because the defense attorney had the audacity to say that Deontay was the hero in all this.
And they were like,
and then the camera did this pullback thing showing Carisi, who was the actual hero of the day.
Yeah.
So yeah. There. Yes.
Yeah.
That. So then we have Olivia testify.
Yeah, that's what she said. But the defense attorney has to know. You got to get the defense.
Yeah, the defense attorney says she couldn't have known what he wanted to do.
Or if you brought some weapons to a rob, if you plan to rob somebody, you plan to rob them. You just didn't show up at this place. What?
And she says it seemed to be, but I forget what the seemed to be.
Oh, I think he's talking about the robbery being he seemed to want to go, rob somebody, and they were seemed to be. How do you know?
Yeah.
How do you know exactly what he was going to go do? We're
yeah, because right now their defense is A, vengeance, B, duress.
Yeah, that's all they got.
So Elizabeth testified, and she mentioned that they had Carisi give up his phone and wallet and his wedding ring, and then the camera transitions to Amanda in the gallery. I don't think she knew about that until that moment,
because there's an accident. Obviously you can tell in this one of the times DOT helps with the camera that they filmed that walkout a couple times, and when the camera goes back and forth a few times, sometimes he has the ring on, sometimes he doesn't. So I don't know what was written as the line, or when they refilmed, they may have forgotten to put it back on. So it's kind of a camera discontinuity thing of did she not know? Or like, because the way you see it as the viewer is that like when they like when they're like hugging, one time the camera's on them, he has the ring, one time they're filming, another time he doesn't. So like something you notice when you like watch the episode very thoroughly, but it's not like a important
Yeah,
thing. But like
you see Amanda like
but you see Amanda make a face, a certain like a very specific face about like
and shift in her seat, like she knows how
yeah,
much the ring means
yeah,
to him,
yeah. But she's like he
to them.
exactly,
Uh,
exactly.
and so again, the defense attorney is like, "Oh, did Beyonce ever threaten you directly or verbally?" Like, no, but
Did
he had it.
you have a gun to you? That's enough. Like, what do you mean?
What do you mean? And she's like, well, yeah. So, yeah, it kind of seemed like the Boyd was in charge, but they both had guns.
Exactly. But that doesn't make sense. But
So
um,
is next to testify.
but she's gone.
Unfortunately,
Once again,
they can't find her. Um, and Creasy immediately is like, I'm going to go find her. And
they're
then
like,
Camille's
no,
like, you're not going anywhere. If Tess is a no-show, you're all I got.
exactly. So like, you cannot go.
So we forgot to mention earlier that they had put Tess up in a hotel and Velasco
Yeah, but she wasn't in the hotel.
Okay.
Some kind of way she got out because he was supposed to be watching.
Yeah, and somehow she got out. Like, it doesn't make sense how she got out, but
Exactly, because like there's a hotel. Maybe he took a little potty break or something. She
you
walked out.
had one job.
Like there's one door. Like how did she get out? Okay.
So the Finn and everybody they go to the Finn.
Bruno? There's something SV related we didn't talk about, but we'll talk about it because I just remembered it.
What?
Did we talk about like there's gonna be a new showrunner next season? I don't think we talked about that because we didn't know about after we recorded. We'll come back to that after. We'll talk about that after we finish this. Though.
So
we'll put that
Finn goes to the boyfriend's house, and then he's like, "What the hell are you back here? What the hell are you back here for?"
Exactly, because they kind of bust in. They do the very dramatic bust in, like. And he's like, she's not here.
She's not here. And so they're able to track her location, and unfortunately, she's hiding in a illicit substance house. And it's like, oh shoot.
Not again.
And they find her in a corner, crying.
Which she said, I didn't do it though.
But I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I wanted to. And then she's like, I can't face that guy in court.
They were worried that she'd overdosed him, but she didn't actually take the drugs. She was just kind of curled up in the corner crying.
I think he tried. Who says this?
Oh, she does. Okay, so Tess really does go back to testify. We forgot to put so Tess really is she does get up and go testify.
Yeah,
I forgot to put the line just knowing what was happening, but she does. So then she talks about how like Boyd finds the Apple Watch that she has in her pants.
Yeah.
She has the Apple because if you don't know, like they were talking to the police on the Apple Watch because she still had it on when they put them in the freezer. She talks.
Yeah, and she's like
because he takes out her phone and he's like, and it says something about like the police texting, and he's like, someone's been talking to the police, and he's like feeling her up, and he finds her watch.
And she's like, I think he wanted to punish me.
Yeah, for talking to the police. So he takes her back to the back. We start taking, if you don't know the episode, he starts taking her back to the freezer. Creasy's like, no, don't be doing that.
No, yeah, Creasy in there. She's like, did anyone try to stop it? She's like, Creasy tried, but Creasy tried, but then Boyd hit him with his gun.
Yeah, he says, I'm sick of your big mouth, and then hits some pistol him with the gun.
Such a big mouth. And then she's like, did Deonta do anything? And she's like, no. So then we finally get
what happened in the freezer, because we don't know. We just see the aftermath.
We didn't know, and unfortunately, it's worse than we thought. Much worse. So he forces her to undress.
And we can kind of tell she's been disheveled, but like she doesn't like say what happened until right now.
He gets her on her knees. He unzips his pants and forces himself inside her mouth.
Yeah.
And then she goes, and then when he was ready, he bent me over. So she's like on all fours.
Yeah.
at the very least.
We don't really know exactly, but
and took her behind.
Yeah, you're like,
it's like, what? So literally this whole time we're thinking he took her in there.
It wasn't. He was quick. It was quick and easy. Not necessarily easy, but quick. It was
quick and easy. Not, oh my god, not easy.
But quick. We didn't think it was that long at the time.
We think he
see the outside of the scene. Actually, they do a commercial break. So they like intentional time passing. So it's like
took her in there, pulled down her pants, yoga pants, did it, done.
No. He's in there for 40 minutes.
40 minutes.
Exactly. You're like, that's a long time.
And because the Camille was like, how long were you in there? And she's like, I don't know. It felt like forever. And then she's like, records show that it was 40 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, Carisi was outside of that room for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Helpless to stop.
Yeah. Well, because it's kind of like unclear of like when Carisi did the commercial break. So we don't know, like, because Carisi's on the floor. And eventually they show him like Deontay
trying to like, when he woke up.
So we don't know if Carisi was like unconscious for this, or maybe because he didn't know how long it'd been. Maybe he's been unconscious and hit in the head with a gun. But it's not quite clear because when the commercial comes back, he's getting up. So we don't know how much time. We do know maybe he wasn't conscious in the 40 minutes.
We don't know exactly when he got up. We know that he did get up, saw Deontay eating chips, and is basically like, dude, go stop this. Do something.
Exactly. He's like,
and then the turnaround, see Boyd come out and he's zipping his.
And the Carisi's voice, his tone of his voice changed. He's like, "What did you do the test?
Fucking kill him."
He's like, "What did you do to test?"
All I know is, thank God Carisi was not in the room.
No, it would have been bad.
Because if he heard that, it would have been.
He knew how long it passed because he was bored.
Like, no, we did not need to know that. So yeah, Tess is crying at this point, and then Camille is like, at any point,
did he do anything?
Did Deontay do anything? And she looks right at him, and she's like, no, nothing. Tears in her eyes. So like the jury has fully just heard this guy stood by for 40 minutes while she was eating
some chips, doing nothing.
And now that we know Carisi was correct to use that word in the episode, because he did use the word violated, and it unfortunately was the case.
Yeah, because I feel like in that moment he didn't want to say rape, but like violated is very much true.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we get to Carisi's turn.
So anyway, yeah, the jury is like heard basically that this kid has done nothing. A murder happened. Nope. A rape happened. Nope. Now it's Carisi's turn. And I will say they didn't give us as much as Carisi's testimony as I thought they were going to.
Yeah, I guess they were like, you've seen it 5 million times. You need to hear it again. But I feel like that, in a sense, kind of takes like, I feel like this could have been 2 parts. And then it made it a little longer because there's some complex emotions I feel like we're lacking. A lot of people said, well, some people are saying like agree with me, but like there's some lacking thing. Like you could wish you could talk conversations were a bit longer about certain things, but like because you only have 42 minutes to do this, so you're like, all right, what conversation can we fit into the 42 minutes?
Mm-hmm. And yeah, so it's worse than that. Worse than we thought. Oh wait, no.
I think they ask him, why did he shoot Boyd, or why did I think that's the first question. I think. So what was something about it to negate accomplice liability is the episode title. But...
Yeah, so like basically, Grace is like to do nothing. I
told him,
even though I told him do something. Like I gave him plenty of opportunities.
Something.
Stop a murder, stop a rape. Nope. So now he's liable.
He wouldn't do. Yeah, he did nothing. So then they ask him about like. Why didn't he walk out when Carisi had the ability to walk out? Why didn't he go do it?
He's like, they wasn't going to. And then the defense is like crashing into him, and he's like, they had guns, I had words.
Exactly, that's all I had.
What else was I supposed to do?
Exactly. He was yapping, that's all he had. And he's like, listen, that's all I got.
And
you can tell the intensity is building in Carisi. Like he's getting kind of starting to get upset.
And that was self defense, not self perseverance. What was that? I think he was trying to say that it wasn't self defense.
Yeah.
It was
I put the word in the wrong order. But yeah. So I think they asked him like why did you tell him that if he shot Boyd it would be okay? He's like, no, that's not why would you tell him it was self-defense? And Chris is like, that's not necessarily what I said. No. He shot Boyd for self-perseverance because Boyd would have to if Boyd had been alive, he would have testified, being like, Deontay bought the guns. We're assuming this Boyd would have, because it's not like Boyd was going to get out of prison because he did commit like a murder and stuff, but he was going to
like he's going to jail, whatever, man.
He wasn't getting out, but like he was going to probably talk about Deontay, what they did before they went there. Because you can't speak from the grave, so
the defense attorney brings up that
we're gonna let you out in exchange for the
and then he's like, why wouldn't you? It's like if it was so bad, why didn't you do it? And he's like, I wasn't gonna let them take an NYPD captain, my former boss and a closest friend. First time we've heard him say that.
Yeah.
Be in there with a murderer and a rapist. Is that what you have done?
Exactly. Like,
is that what you have done? Like,
oh, okay. Exactly. It's like, no.
And then Vaughn is like, are you always this hot-headed?
Because Chris is getting real mad. Like, it's building. Because, like, realistically, like, he knew what was going to happen to Olivia. So we don't really know if what Carisi knows about, like, because he wasn't, in season 15. So we don't really know how much he knows about, like, that arc, or like the William Lewis arc. So we don't know how much he knows about that. So like, but we do know he was not going to put her back in a situation like this.
Like, he knew if they did what they did to Tess, there's no way that he was going to do it to her, potentially do it to Olivia.
Is it?
So, yeah. So the defense
he starts to get down, and then he sees.
Wait, hold on. The defense is questioning. He's like, he knows that it didn't go as well as he wanted to, but he did what he did. And he's going to get down, and then he sees Deontay looking at his lawyer and smiling.
Yeah, they're like talking about some whispering or something,
And this is one of the other sneak peeks they gave us.
Yeah, this would have been the first one. We're like, oh.
And he goes, wipe that smile off your face, you son of a bitch. You and I both know what happened in that deli. I saw you, Deontay. I saw you. Exactly. And it's like, ooh, go Peter.
Yeah. But they were like, the judge is like, you're going to get held contempt and sit down. Like,
and then the judge is like, Mr. Creasy, you need to go, or I'm going to hold you in contempt.
Amazing.
And so he like Creasy like stops,
he walks out,
looks around, and he leaves.
He walks out, and then Amanda and Olivia walk out after him.
Yeah. And then Camille goes in the room, and she's like, and he's like, I'm sorry. And she's like, what was that?
I know.
And he goes, I see Deontay smiling at me, and it's like I'm back in that deli, and I lost it.
If you guys obviously have watched us for a long time, Carisi's not an angry person. He's a very mellow, very calm. Even when he's in the courtroom, he's not like horribly loud. But this is the first time we've seen him like
something really gets at him. He's angry.
He was angry.
Big time. Yeah.
And
she's like, okay, I don't know if I'm going to be able to call you back up to the stand.
As a rebuttal witness after
that. She leaves, and Amanda.
No, she does not yet. She could. Carisi's saying something else. She's like, "There's no us. You're acting like we're partners, and we're not." because he's saying something they can do, and she's like, no, we're not working together. I'm working the case, and you are testifying.
Let me do this.
You have to let me do this, because realistically, if Carisi, if they had ever found out Carisi had any kind of involvement in the legal end of it, they probably could have called the mistrial. So, just saying. But she's like, listen.
Yeah.
So then Amanda, they go sit down in the windowsill. They go sit in the windowsill.
So that, and he's like, I'm not losing this case.
Exactly, but it's not his case, which is a very thing that, like we pointed out the whole time in the episode, that he still thinks this is like his mind. This is his case, and he has to be the person who fixes it.
Even though he's not the prosecutor, it's still his case. And he's like, I'm not losing.
Like, he says the prosecutor mindset, and you're like, you're not the prosecutor.
And he's like, I let Deontay. He finally admits that he let Deontay get into his head.
Well, I mean, he's never left his head. Okay, Creasy's never not admitted this.
Yeah, literally,
he's never left. He's been in there since that day.
And then we gotta find a way to get into his.
So then they go find out. They go visit Rikers. I think he was in Rikers, but they go
and we find out that Deontay had a lawyer, an inmate,
not a real lawyer, an inmate lawyer.
That he used a lawyer, and so he wasn't an actual lawyer. So attorney.
He probably just was well versed in law books in prison, so he wasn't a real lawyer. But
it doesn't count.
Doesn't count. He's not legal client, so it's not like they could
like the dude is literally in prison because he's poisoned his mom with antifreeze.
We're like,
great.
Exactly. This is what you're talking to.
And
I think Carisi said, I don't know if I mentioned it, but Carisi said something like Deontay is a follower, so Deontay had to have somebody he was following in prison, so we need to find out who he was talking to, and that's how we get to find this guy.
So yeah, so they go to talk to him, and they're like, "Hey, what can you do? Can you testify?" And he's like, "Yeah, okay."
Yeah, he had nothing to lose. He wasn't getting out.
So then we get Deontay testifying, and he goes and pretty much said the boy threatened him if he didn't go along with it. Okay, no, that's not what happened. Cool. Then we get the
basically that's what he pretty much all he said. He kind of talks about like Boyd was the ringleader. Boyd was the mastermind. Like Boyd is the person who did this. But Boyd's dead, so he cannot speak for himself about what was going on that day.
Yeah, like that's pretty much his word.
I don't know what Boyd was going to say. Even though we probably know what Boyd was thinking, but we can't assume.
Cross-examination happens, and Camille did remember what Carisi said
about the guns.
And she's like,
being like,
so,
where did you get the gun?
Where did you get them?
Why did you?
What he's like, and he's like, what do you mean? He's like,
the gun.
Boy clearly just got out of prison. It had
that morning. He had no time to go get a gun, so.
And then he's like, okay, yeah, so. And then she's pretty much like, yeah, why didn't he walk out of there when Boyd was?
He had 40 minutes to walk out, and turn himself into the police. He had 40 minutes and chose 40 minutes
to go stop this while his friend was doing the deed. He just stood there.
Yeah, and eating some chips, doing nothing.
And then there's literally like at the end, and it's like crazy puppy dog eyes. Like he's like, please, I need this. I need this.
He needs it for his own well-being. So then they get the guy's name. His last name is Goldstein. I forgot what his first name was, but
does testify.
He basically was like Deontay couldn't stop talking there because I think Deontay they're trying to act like Deontay was like this like gentle, like
quiet,
innocent person, quiet kid that just went along with the get along. And he's like, no, he could not stop talking about Deontay. Like he killed Boyd.
He killed Boyd so that he would not testify against him.
Exactly. Like he meant it. Like
they're like, okay, and they're like, did any of Boyd's essay convictions matter to him? And he's like,
no. Oh, because that's what Boyd is in there for Boyd was in prison for rape and murder. So,
and then he's like, the only thing that matters to Deontay Mosley is Deontay Mosley.
Exactly. Yeah. So then we get the verdict.
Pretty much open and shut. And So we finally
They didn't cross him, so or I don't think they crossed. They didn't cross him, so I guess it didn't matter.
I would you have tried to after that?
No, I've been like no.
Like that pretty much is just like, and I'm done. I got nothing else. Sorry, kid. So then we get the jury reading the verdicts, and he is found guilty on the murder.
The first charge, which is the murder of Boyd. He's second degree charged with the murder of Ali. He is
and the armed robbery.
He's charged for the armed robbery, but he is not guilty in the second degree rape of Tess.
Which
is not guilty.
I didn't want to cheer in case something.
Yeah, we had to listen to it all because this is the last like 5 minutes of the episode. They waited to the end.
But this pissed me off. So
it did. I was like,
bad.
Like if the evidence is there, like you talked about it.
They said it was the weakest case, but one, the jury heard how he literally stood there for 40 minutes and didn't stop the rape. If you don't stop a rape, that means you're an accomplice to it.
Exactly. That's why you charged in the second degree, but they said
Boyd brought her back into that freezer with the gun that he bought.
Exactly.
That anything that happened with those guns in that deli was on him. So therefore, it should have happened.
He is.
3. We heard from Tess.
There were a lot of points to make, but
3. We heard from Tess specifically that it's like he did nothing. He just stood by while she was getting assaulted.
Yeah, he literally did nothing.
And so I'm like, I don't know what the jury's thinking. Like, if I heard all that, I'd be like, yeah, he's guilty of that. So what do you mean he's not?
Like we've talked about, there's a lot of complicated. I mean, of course, with jurors, they have to be unanimous. So somebody probably thought somebody was probably thinking about the race card. Someone's probably thinking about the empathy. Somebody for them did not have a unanimous verdict on this. Somebody had some other thoughts.
There was probably somebody who's like, well, he didn't actually do it. But the thing is, the charge wasn't for it
to do it. He was in the second degree, which means
it was
literally in it.
Yeah. If it was rape in the first, then fine. I would understand why it's not guilty because he didn't actually do it.
Second degree. Yeah.
I don't remember.
Second degree is if you assisted in it but didn't.
No, I mean like you might have to check because I don't remember what it was.
What?
The charge.
Yeah, rape in second degree.
No, I thought it was first.
No, I think they wanted to try that, but they may. I don't know. I think it was second degree, but
hold on, I'm gonna go find out now because now I'm
gonna be excited.
Need to find out because
right back.
My point.
Real quick. It needs a bathroom real quick. So.
Okay, yeah, and I'm going to find this thing. All right, guys, give me a minute while I figure this out.
Oh, so I kind of feel, but we keep yapping, so.
Because I need it to load.
Yeah, you watch my Peacock. But what was I thinking about? I guess I think you talked about it.
No, I just went on the NBC app. I didn't think of doing that.
Peacock will play without ads. You have to worry about stopping it. That's why I usually pull it on Peacock if I have to. I have the app on my phone. But there's a lot of complex emotions. I guess we could kind of talk about it. Well, while you're looking for that.
Deontay's going to prison for basically like.
He is going to prison for a long time. So, like the defense, prosecutor was like, "Listen, like 15 years is generous, but that's gonna be forever." So
yeah, you could
your
see
life away.
Everybody like when they said that not guilty, that you could see like Olivia, it's like, because she's the one who can to testify.
Yeah, Because, like, what was I saying? I don't know. Oh, like, it's not necessarily a like, it's the kind of thing that you contemplate, like, as you as the viewer, it was a very obvious, like, he's guilty, he did this, but, as I guess if you think about like juries and stuff, somebody can have some different feelings, whether you think so or not, and it makes it complicated of like, there's a lot of complex emotions about like, a lot of the you weren't there, so how do you know kind of argument, and you're like, but that's not your job as a
I think
juror.
the other reason why it's so hard for me that it's literally the first time we've got um um oh I forgot about this part.
What?
So before, when they were telling Camille that the Goldstein's willing to testify, Carisi goes, "This is our chance to win this case."
Yeah, that's what we brought up on after that. We said this is no we.
But then he goes and he sits down next to Camille and he's like, "You got this." It's like, okay, you're finally realizing
that you can't do it.
You need to let her do it. Oh, that's what the puppy dog eyes were. The puppy dog eyes were him looking at her like, please do this.
Like, so I don't know if you found what you're looking for, because I don't want to keep talking.
I'm literally almost there.
But
okay, so yes, so he's found guilty on four counts of armed robbery.
Oh, I forgot it was 4 counts of armed robbery.
Murder in the second of Ali. Murder in the second of Boyd.
I want murder in the first of Boyd. It's kind of silly because he did actually do it.
Okay.
Oh no, we have to prove intent for first degree. I think that's why. And I don't think they really could.
That's why. Okay, now
first degree. I think you have to prove intent for first degree. I think maybe why they did not charge him.
Now I'm glad I checked, because it says that it was charge of rape in the first.
Oh, it should have charged him with rape in the second.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't do second.
Yeah, it probably would have gone better for being second, but it's okay. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just a pretend person who writes lawyers. They're fine.
Yeah, and like you can see that, and like you see Olivia like put her head down, and Tess is kind of just sitting there like, yeah. So second would have made more sense. And then afterward, there's this little moment of Amanda like checking Carisi, like making sure she's okay after they read it.
Yeah, she puts her hand on his shoulder, I think.
Okay, so anyway, that makes me feel better that I thought it was second, because second would have been obvious. Now that I know it's first, that makes sense. Really?
You see why?
They probably did first because it's like, well, Boyd's dead, so we're gonna have to charge somebody with something. But wait, that means they still can charge him with second, can't they?
Without new evidence, I think they can. I think because you cannot be charged for in America. So you cannot be charged for the same charge again. But you can be charged with a different charge, with new evidence. So
it's okay.
But he's not getting out anyway. But I think it's more of like he's not getting out anyway. But like, it's the like legal precedents that like they did not charge him with this, yet he is liable.
So anyway, back to the episode. So we have Carisi. So we have Olivia exit the
courtroom,
and she's talking to Tess and Elizabeth, and she's like, "Tess, I'm sorry," and she's like, "It's okay. That you were right. That I got what I needed. That actually really helped."
Yeah.
And then they were both like, we need to thank ADA Carisi. Neither one of us would have survived without him.
Yeah.
And then you see Carisi and Amanda walking over, and you see Carisi getting his voice getting all soft and stuff, and he goes, "Tess, I wish I could have." And then she gives him a hug,
Yeah, she didn't let him. He doesn't continue the sentence. She just gives him a hug.
And that is when I started crying because I was like, "Oh my god!" She's like, she gives him a hug, says thank you, and you see him kind of just like hesitate for a second before the hug, and he's kind of just sitting there. You can't really read the expression on his face, but you could tell that, oh my, yeah, he needed that.
He needed it.
Very much so.
Mm-hmm.
And so the girls leave, and you see Amanda like putting her shoulder, putting her chin on his shoulder, like
because
checking
he's very tall.
Yes,
sure he's good.
And Olivia's like, or Amanda's like, I think
somebody's good.
Amanda's like, I think it was finally telling you that it's fine to move on. And then Olivia looks at Sunny and she's like, I think you already have.
Yeah, that's the end.
And then that's it. That's the end. And
there's a lot of complex emotions, I think, that could be discussed further, because as much as I like this episode, because I do, I think we've kind of left open this thought of like, it's not going to be that easy for Carisi to be like, I'm going to move on now, so he's going to fix so in his head, but like realistically, he's not. Because he's going to still think about the verdict. Because if it had been a perfect verdict, sure, he maybe could have been able to do it, but like...
Yeah, but like the not guilty might eat at him.
Still be, continuously.
And
I think...
That's why like he couldn't, like Tess was like smiling at that hug. That's why he couldn't smile.
He was not. He does not smile.
Because he still feels bad that he couldn't stop the assault from happening in the first place.
Yeah. That's BC has not forgiven himself, which I think is the big thing. Is like,
yeah, so like the trial is over, but he's still gonna have to.
He's still trapped, essentially.
Heal from it,
which is why we think Reese go to therapy. But
yes, because he still hasn't admitted that he's a victim. He's not fully okay. He's not fully understanding that Tess and Elizabeth don't blame him at all.
He blames himself,
There is one thing that I'm surprised they didn't have in this episode. And that was any of the members of Ollie's family.
Oh, true. I did think about that myself when writing it. I thought about that. When we wrote it, I thought we probably could put that in there at some point.
Literally, they killed the husband and dad, and none of them.
Exactly. I did feel like that was a bit lacking. I forgot about that. I was gonna say that at some point, that I felt like it maybe would have been more impactful. I felt like if they had somebody talk about, if they had his family come, somebody be like, he was a loving father,
exactly,
a loving husband. He was raised, his like tip in the little jar on the little table was for his son's sports team. I forgot which team maybe it was soccer or baseball, I can't remember. But like, and Deontay, essentially, he did not do it, but Boyd did, but like, ended his man's life.
Oh, I forgot the other thing. After the case, Creasy's like headed back to Brooklyn, and Camille's like, yeah, unless you want to share an office.
Yeah, he's
like partners. It's like, it's just like, he's like, look, if you ever want to move to Manhattan, I'll put in a good word.
Yeah.
Oh, literally. The Libby goes, I know this isn't what you wanted, and then Tess goes, well, actually, I'm okay, to be honest, which is good.
Yeah, but she's okay, and that hopefully she gets better from her
in that witness box.
Gets her life.
Deontay's going to be prison in the rest of your life. In prison for the rest of his life. And they look at Amanda and they're like, thanks to your husband.
Yeah.
Neither one of us would have survived without it.
Yeah.
I wish he literally doesn't even know what to say. And she just holds out his arms and is like, I'm here. It's okay. Hug.
Yes. So they did a little. So I guess I don't know, they did a little episode switcheroo on us because initially I think the one Kelly was supposed to be this week, but they moved it till after the crossover. There's a little order switcheroo going on because next week is a crossover.
Why did they switch?
The accuser, I don't know, but the accusers was supposed to, I think they were flopped, so it's switched. So then we'll have this week is the accuser, and then there's the crossover, which I forgot what it was called, but I did see it somewhere. I think I said, did I say it? I hope I did. Because it's a crossover and organized crime at the same night. Next week we'll see you there. Maybe some of you probably don't care, but I thought I said it.
Literally, I'm listening to it again. He can't even look her in the eye.
Yeah, he feels really guilty about it, and I think that's something that he's gonna have to really heal from, and they have to be intentional about writing it. If they did, they're almost done filming, so we don't know if it's been addressed or not. If it is, it won't be addressed till next season. But
so she's grateful for him. He just needs to get past his own guilt. But now I feel better knowing that it wasn't rape in the second, and that makes sense now. Okay. Yeah. I'm glad I looked.
We were like, I don't remember now, but the next thing we do want, I don't know. This is a good episode, fantastic. The acting phenomenal.
Yes,
we think we just every.
Taylor is Emmy. No,
exactly what. Again, I'm not gonna call it episode that again. I want to do something else, but we're done asking nicely about this. But what was I gonna say is that it was announced last week that SVU will be having a new showrunner.
Yeah, we got season. A female showrunner and a female executive producer. Hell yeah!
That will be replacing David Grazino.
Which a lot of people are happy with.
Yes, I feel like they could. There's a contract obligation. I guess maybe he's contracted for 3 seasons. So this is Lee's finishing his 3rd season. So but I feel like contract
brings on. Oh my god!
There's some allegations and such about him, and it was a lot. So
my phone is watching me. I literally went on Instagram, and the first clip that came up was the one that I literally just watched of Tess hugging Gracie.
Well. But what was I saying? Yeah, so SV will have a new showrunner. I forgot to put it in our notes.
But until now for them to get a female showrunner, though.
Exactly. This show's been off for 26 seasons, about 27.
Just saying.
But she is a familiar face. She wrote episodes in 1.0. The most notable one is Fault, but the most notable one I know she's written is Fault, but which is not a favorite. I mean, our ops, and we're gonna put it out there because I don't care. Our ops here think that they're gonna deliver on EO, but she actually is very much anti-EO. She's like, I never thought that they needed to be together, but they worked together, but they never needed to be together. So I don't think they should be too happy about that, but they weirdly are. Some of us are a little too optimistic.
I gotta mute myself because I had to check something. I think
some of us are too optimistic for our own good. Okay, but so we'll see some cool stuff. Hopefully, we see some because. The accuser is the next one, and then it's the crossover, which I forgot what it was called. It's something I saw it somewhere. I thought I saved it. Maybe I saved it on my Twitter. And let's see. Did I bookmark it? I hope I did. I bookmarked a lot of things. I don't even know what I'm talking about. I don't think I did. Oops. It's not. Let's see. There is. Let's see account. Okay, it's called Play with Fire. SV uses part 2. The Mothership Play with Fire part 1. Mothership Fleet SVU part 2. Because they're showing there'll be the accuser on the 10th, Play with Fire.
All right, so it seems like he was mouthing something to her, but I can't tell if that was Carusi to Tess or Peter to Paige.
Okay, now the skip week. Wait, hold on. The skip week will be.
Seems
the
like
24th.
Okay. It's good. Yeah. I'm glad you think so.
The skip week is the 24th. Because they're playing tenfold instead. Which is a great episode. You should watch him. So so then it'll be the 22 episodes. So episode 20 will be the first, 2021 will be the 8th, and then the last one will be the 15th. So there's a random night that SVU is just coming on a Monday night randomly on the 21st. Why I don't know, but it is. April 21st. Why I don't really know. At 10 o'clock. Why I don't really know, but it is. They're playing Rorsch, the one we can never pronounce, Rorschach.
Oh yeah, that
one. Why I don't know, but maybe they needed a show to fill in that time slot for some reason. But Found, if y'all aren't watching Found, you should. But Found will be switched next week. Found will be on Monday night next week instead of Thursday night.
Do not let me forget.
Because they're playing, it's on my calendar, so I will remember to see it on my phone. So we'll be watching Found on Monday night instead of Thursday night. Orange County will be on.
Do not let me forget, so I don't screw up my work schedule.
I mean, you can always watch it on Peacock if you miss it, but like it is Monday night. But Organized Crime allegedly is playing. Allegedly, I don't know if this is true, but they're gonna be showing Organized Crime on the Thursday night in the summertime, which is playing season 5 during the summer. But that doesn't make one. The only thing about that people are saying is that like that's not good marketing wise or money wise, because obviously that means that not enough people were resubscribing or subscribing to Peacock for them to make it worth putting it on Peacock. And I mean, obviously it's going to be on Peacock anyway, because putting a show that was meant to be on streaming on TV after usually is a bad sign of the account, because they're trying to make you watch it for free versus you going to go pay for it. And local channels are free, but that's not a good sign monetarily for them though. So that's not a good sign that they're playing it on TV. But it will be on next Thursday. So that is very exciting.
Well, thank you. I think that's everything. Did you write the episode? I missed it.
Yeah, it's a 5-star.
Yes. Okay, agreed. I do wish we had. I do wish we had a break in between, because I keep forgetting there's an episode tomorrow, and I'm just like not processing it at all.
Yeah.
But there is, and hopefully our lovely Carisi will start to heal soon.
Yeah. So the next one is called The Accuser. It says, when a man is ruthlessly assaulted and burned, SVU investigates and uncovers a decades-old secret. Bruno helps young Williams find the courage to come forward. Because they find this guy, and he has 5/15/01 cut into his back.
And apparently he's
everyone was talking about how like Olivia has this blazer and white turtleneck combo going on. Everyone was like,
yeah,
I don't even know what's happening, but she's looking good on this one clip.
It is.
It feels like it's a big Curry episode.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting.
It seems that the guy is like 50 something, and apparently he got assaulted.
Yeah. So they show a clip of him in the hospital. He's been hit on the head and then written in the back. It's like, I don't know if they're doing like a kid or something, but like it's very much like they don't do a lot of like talking about kids when it comes to men. So this will be interesting if like they have a conversation about
it. Like that's gonna be difficult too.
Yeah. So we will see what happens tomorrow.
Also, hopefully we'll see Bruno and Silva again, because they weren't in.
There was some Bruno. There are some Bruno in the promos for next one, so
they weren't in this episode.
Yeah, there's some Bruno in the promo, so I'm pretty certain we will see some Bruno tomorrow. I think everyone was in here. Hold on, let me pay attention. Now I don't see Silva, but I do see Bruno.
We love Silva. That's why I'm just like, what?
Yeah, we do. So we have some Velasco and we have some Finn and we have some Bruno. So
all right. Well,
and
I
some
think
Curry. So because we didn't see Curry this episode either. I don't think. I don't remember. Anyway, I think that's it. We're gonna.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks for listening. You know, hopefully you had fun. Maybe you didn't have fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
I can't
a lot.
say that it was fun. It was a lot. But we hope you have a great day. We're re-listening. Don't forget to share with your friends. And I have to put this out on the clips. And thanks for listening.
Bye.
Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment and let us know what you think. Goodbye. I need to charge my Apple.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.